What's good, everybody? Indrid here, giving you another in-depth guide, this time for Shifu. If you're wondering what Daniel, one of the top Shifu-rated players, has to say about him, stay tuned to find out his 3 tips to be a beast as Shifu. Alright guys, so we're going to take a look at Shifu here. The first skill is called Spear Slash, which obviously makes sense. I don't know if you knew this, but this is Spear Master from BLC, and so he has a lot of the same skill names and all that. It's a pretty well-known character. But Spear Slash does 9 damage, and it has a pretty decent attack speed. And so you want to use that to do not the bulk of your damage, but a lot of your consistent damage. But the main reason that you're going to use this is if you see here, it builds up weapon charges. So I have 3 charges now, and that's going to lead us into our Impale, which is right-clicking, or your M2. And your Impale does bonus damage based on how many weapon charges you have. So the more weapon charges you have, the more damage Impale is going to do. Also to keep in mind, if you see where I'm standing, I'm going to try and stand on like this line right here. And I'm going to aim over here. As you see, when I impale, I actually go past the line. So if I were to just keep impaling, I could move all the way across the map. So this is a really important feature of Impale. You got to remember that it actually moves you, and it's got a pretty long range because of that. I'm going to see if I stand here at this inner circle, will I be able to hit the end? It looks like I will hit the end of this circle. So it's almost about maybe 4 or 5 character lengths away. So it's got pretty decent range. It can also hit multiple targets. So we'll come up here, and as you can see, hit multiple targets. So you deal a little bit less, you know, when you hit multiple targets. This is how the game works, but that's how it works. So the next skill is going to be Fleetfoot, and you are completely immaterial, immune, etc. when you have Fleetfoot on. So that's the space, and you'll see you can walk through targets. And so that is a really important thing because Shifu is really aggressive. We'll get into some of his combos and all that later, but he's super aggressive. And because of that, he needs to be able to move around the battlefield and hopefully not take damage. So second is Kunju, which is his Q, and did I say second? I don't know if I said second. Anyways, next is Kunju, his Q, which is a counter. He trances, and I'm going to show you what happens when you trance here. We're just going to move a little faster. Alright, so when you trance, you teleport behind the person, and you land immaterial for a little bit. And so that is really helpful. And as you see too, like you move pretty far, or you can move pretty, oh my gosh, how bad am I? You can move pretty far because it teleports you right behind the target, but that's going to put you immediately then into melee range, which is exactly where you want to be. So make sure that you use that wisely. Do not waste it. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just kind of like run up and then just like blindly, oh man, I hope. You don't want to do that. You want to try to wait till the projectile's in the air, especially if you're in the higher level skill cap. You need to wait till the projectile's in the air because the people cancel casting and things like that. So just practice that now on waiting. But the next thing is going to be Javelin. And so Javelin can hook you to a wall, helps you move across the map a little bit, but it will also do damage and hook you to a person. So it's a great gap closer. It's a wonderful way to enter in onto enemies. And it also has immunity frames in it. So when you are in the air, you are immune. So you can dodge skills by using Javelin. But remember, there is going to be a travel time for the Javelin. And then once it hits, there's a slight delay before you leave the ground. And so you don't get immunity immediately. You have to wait till it hits and brings you up. Sorry about that, guys. And so the next is going to be, I think it's called Hamstring Tendon Swing. I knew it was something like that, which is, it's got a really large arc. It's like a 180-degree arc. And what it does is it does damage and incapacitates, which is really awesome. So as you can see, you can hit all these people, hit the incapacitate, and do 12 damage. It's really strong. And we'll get into combos later, but it's great for setting up and for controlling the enemy, obviously. So to the EX skills, which is first the space, this one I love. So instead of moving 35% faster with the normal Fleetfoot, you move 50% faster with this Fleetfoot. So you can travel a bit more distance, and your auto attacks heal you for 14 damage. It's pretty insane. So, I mean, I think it's absolutely crazy at how much you heal. So, it does a lot of damage, or not a lot of damage. You do damage and heal a lot. It's a great way to sustain. Second is going to be Javelin, or it's called Harpoon actually. So it's on the E though. And I'm going to show you that how it works on the orb here, because this is something you're going to want to do to the orb a lot. But when you harpoon the orb, it pulls it to you. It does a little bit extra damage than the normal Javelin. And then you're able to help control the orb or control the person, whoever you're hitting. And it's a really good skill to utilize. I highly, highly suggest you use it on the orb whenever you, not whenever you can, but whenever it's being contested, use it on the orb to guarantee that your team gets that orb. So last but not least is Whirlwind. And it's just that you spin, you do AoE damage, and you basically go in a whirlwind. So it's quite strong. It does not trigger counters, so that is an important thing to remember, as when you're chasing down those pesky, hard to reach characters, you can use the whirlwind to help avoid some of the counters. So, like my previous video, I'm actually going to go into the Battlerites this time, because his Battlerites again change the way he's played a little bit and changes some of his combos. So I don't want to go into combos too early. So to check this out, we're going to go to select Battlerites. And so for the first one, we have Ceremonial Spear, which is your Impale heals you for 4 health plus 2 health for any weapon charge. Fleet Foot, or Swift Feet, which makes Fleet Foot last longer, and it reduces the cooldown. And then Dirty Tricks, which Javelin causes a root. In my opinion, the two on the right are the two stronger ones. I typically get Ceremonial Spear just because I'm not super good at avoiding damage, but I think as you get higher up, you can take Dirty Tricks and still do quite well with it, because people aren't going to be able to move away from you once you get onto their back. So that can be pretty good too, but I'm going to get Ceremonial Spear just because, like I said, I'm not super great with them. Spear Slinger, hitting an enemy or a wall with Javelin reduces its cooldown by 2 seconds, so this is just helping you, again, move around a little bit. Skewer, that Impale puts a fading snare onto people. And then Poised to Strike, you gain 3 weapon charges when Kunju is triggered. I think this one is an absolute must, in my opinion. This one is so strong, it's so good. It synergizes really great with Ceremonial Spear, and it's just really powerful because your Impale is most of your damage anyways, so being able to get even stronger Impales is really great. So round 3, the Spear is the Way, which is Spear slash attacks during Fleet Foot deal bonus damage. I actually have used this one quite a bit. I was really experimenting a lot while I was trying to prepare for this video for round 3. I felt like round 3 was really strong at first. I actually thought Mantra was one of the weakest, but I'm actually at the point where I feel like Mantra is actually one of the stronger ones, because I didn't realize that whenever you cast Kunju, it heals you and your nearby allies. I thought it had to be triggered. And so I know sometimes it doesn't get triggered, but anytime it's cast, it heals you. So it's really good. And I was actually getting Whirling Blade a little bit, which is Tendon Swing grants the energy back. And so I actually have an affinity for these types of skills anyways, but it seems like the higher up, a lot of the pros, they don't need that extra energy, where I do because I'm missing stuff. So if you're not having any energy issues, you're definitely going to want to lean towards one of these two on the left. But I'm actually leaning towards Mantra a little bit now. I've been getting that one a lot more. It's helped my survivability, and it's helped me be able to stay in the fight longer to do more damage. The next one, I've gone, again, I've kind of played with these ones a little bit, but the Inspiration increases your maximum energy. You also gain energy a little bit faster. Ferocity, having an extra weapon charge that you can get a 4th. And then Recuperate, which is you received more healing. So I've tried all of these. I actually lean towards Inspiration now, just because I think having that little bit extra energy gain, and then being able to use your EX on the orb, and you want, or the harpoon on the orb, like, you be able to do some of those things. That Tendon Swings, you're going to get them faster, etc., etc. I just like Inspiration. But if you're doing like super good and you're really confident, you can get Ferocity, because it is going to increase your healing, because you'll heal more from the Ceremonial Spear. If you don't get Ceremonial Spear, I probably wouldn't get Ferocity. And then that way with your Kunju, you'll be able to heal, what is that, 4 plus 8? You'll be able to heal 24 like really quick. And then last in Spear Dance, you have Whirlwind, which increases your movement speed, and then Whirlwind heals you. This one, again, to me is like a little bit like depending upon the situation, but I often get the healing one, just because 25% of damage done. Hopefully you're hitting 2 people at once if possible, and it just keeps you sustained when you makes you a target whenever you ult, because people want to get you away. But it can be hard to ult with Spearmaster because people see you as a threat so much. They can crowd control you really fast, etc. But I would still say get Bloodthirst so that way you heal through it a little bit. Okay, so on to combos. And actually, I'm going to back up and I'm going to say, what did Daniel tell me from what are the biggest Shifu tips? And so Daniel from BLC, if you guys don't know, he's one of the top rated players in North America, and he mains Shifu. So one of the things that he told me is that you need to, he didn't say spam, but he said use a lot your Impale. And the big reason for that is, he said, that's where a lot of your burst damage comes from. It's where you can move. So if you're rooted, even if you're rooted here and you use that, you move. You don't get stuck there from your M2. So that was another reason he said use your M2 a lot, because especially like if you're chasing something, if I'm here with somebody and I can't hit them, but then I M2, now I can hit them with my M1s. And you see, so it helps you close those gaps so you can keep doing damage. So use your Impale a lot. Don't sit on charges. There's no use to sit on charges. The second you get 3, use your Impale. Even sometimes if you're on 2 and you need to close that gap, use it. Get on the person and do the damage. Next, he said you absolutely must abuse your mount. So he said mounting is so strong on Shifu and you need to use it. And what this will do, this will help save you from using Javelin to move across the map so you can Javelin to against your opponent. So he said you absolutely must, and he used the word abuse your mount when playing Shifu. And then his third tip was you absolutely must harpoon the sphere. He said that is one of the most important things to do as a Shifu is harpoon the sphere and make sure that your team gets it. So let's talk about combos. Now that we know the top 3 tips from Daniel from BLC, let's talk about combos. So one of the things that I really like to do is I like to stick on somebody. I'll try to get a couple stacks on them, and then I'll impale, and then when they try to turn on me, I'll counter, and then once I get countered, I'll be behind them with 3 stacks, and I'll impale again. And if I have the energy there, what I'll do is I'll get 3 stacks, 2, 3, impale, and then I'll counter, and then when my counter goes, I'll immediately tendon swing and then impale, because then you know for 100% that you're going to hit, and the tendon swing does an extra 12 damage. So if you look at that, you have an opportunity to do 27, so 9 successful, or so 9 hits 3 times, yeah, it's 27, plus 9 plus 15, which is plus 24, and then Kuju's not going to do any, but then you have 24 plus 12 is 36, plus 27, I'm losing the math here, and then plus another, 24. So you can see this gets really high really fast. So, I mean, we're talking about almost 100 damage with that combo if you're able to land it all. And the other thing with that is I didn't even throw the Javelin in there. If you're able to hit a Javelin, so if I'm able to hit a Javelin, get a couple auto attacks off, get my Impale, counter, Impale, all that, really, really powerful, guys. He can do, that's how he does so much of his damage. So, defensive trick. Okay, so what happens, like, let's say this is a Paloma over here. What I see a lot of people do is they'll land a Javelin and then they'll immediately try to start swinging. But what's Paloma going to do? Paloma's going to use her spell block and she's going to fear you away. So with those people who have those types of crowd controls, you need to know who you're going against. So with the Paloma, you're going to want to wait a second. It is worth not attacking for a second or two for that spell block to wear off, and then just move and stick to her and then blow her up. Let's say you're going up against a Lucy, and the Lucy has been like super on point with her fears anytime you Javelin her. Adjust to that. Hit her with the Javelin, move and counter. Bam. Now you counter her fear. You're stuck to her for good now. She's going to have to use her barrier. She's going to have to use something, maybe her roll. And then if she rolls, you just Javelin to her again. You have to adjust to who you're playing against when you're playing Shifu. I mean, you do it with everybody, but with Shifu, it's so, so important. So if you're having trouble with anybody specifically, and when you're playing Shifu, leave a comment. Let me know who you're having trouble with, and we'll try to brainstorm how to do more damage to that person. So yeah, the big thing, like I said, is, and so if you don't have like that super combo set up, like you're having a really hard time with that, like a little bit easier combo is just javelin or counter, doesn't matter which one. Get onto somebody and tendon swing. And as soon as you tendon swing, get a full stack. Look at that. So you're going to end up doing, if you do the javelin way, you're going to do 10 damage plus 12, which is 22. And what did we say this was? Is 24. So 22 and 24 is 46. So that's really quick 46 damage. If you use the Kunju, you're going to lose just a little bit of damage. Oh, did I add the 10 in there? I don't think I added the 10. Or did I? Yeah, I did. I did add the 10. I'm crazy. So you're going to lose 10 damage. So it's still like 34 damage, but you're going to be able to follow up with more. So in my opinion, use your tendon swing to set up a lot of impales, especially if you have max stacks. The other thing is once you get people low enough, or I'm sorry, I'm going to back up just a second. So defensive though too, as I said. So let's say you land let's say you do land a Kunju, you land behind the person, you get a second or two of immaterial, and if you're playing threes especially, now you're in no man's land. Like you're in a scary place. So once you're in a scary place and you do a couple auto attacks, your immaterial now breaks off. Use your space. Use it preemptively. Hit as you're kind of walking back towards your team and be able to get out of there. It's going to give you, let's see how much immaterial you get. I've actually never done this. You get for 1 second, and then you're going to get an additional 1.4 seconds. So you're going to get almost 2.5 seconds of immaterial if you stack them instead of just panic hit it. So make sure you're using that immaterial time on your counter. So the other thing I was saying there at the end is with your ultimate. If you can ult more than 2 people, even if you only get like a second of your ultimate off on 2 people, in my opinion, that's pretty worth it. If you don't have your tendon swing up, then it's definitely worth it. But if you have your tendon swing up, you might just want a tendon swing impale, etc. Maybe you can set up a double impale. I don't know. You gotta start playing with that. But if you can, that their escapes are gone, the spell block is gone, etc. If you can get an ult on somebody, it is really massive damage. And you see 112 damage over 3 seconds. So if you can do that to multiple people, that's ridiculous. I mean, really, really ridiculous. So make sure to try to hit more than one if you can, or like I said, use it on that person that has no counter. You're going up against a Sirius. You bait out his counter, you don't hit it. He now leaps away, so you hit him with that, and then boom, you hit him with your ultimate. Man, that is like some serious damage being put out there. So that's kind of it for Shifu. That's a lot of the little tips and tricks that I've learned. Those are the tips from Daniel, who is one of the best Shifu in North America right now. So I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment. If you're looking for me to cover someone specifically, leave that in the comment too. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button, guys. Hope to keep bringing you more content. I really appreciate it. You all rock. Have a good one.